Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Diaz. As she said, I am the Site Operations Manager here at the Wall of Wind facility. I'm going to share my screen with you for just a moment. Did that work? There we go. Can everybody see?
Yes, we just have one question just came for Arindam. I wonder if we can just answer it before you start.
Of course.
Arindam?
Sure, yes. I think Elena asked the question of, do we need to state recruiting strategies? Yes, I think it will be good to state recruiting strategies because that shows that you have put some thought about it. For example, if we just say that we are going to recruit underrepresented students, it doesn't say much because many people will write the same thing, but you need to go to details of how you're going to do that. Like, are you looking at particular women underrepresented programs like we have one at FIU, or you're going to look at some especially Hispanic programs or some groups, and what would be the criteria for the recruitment? Are there some specific criteria? Are you going to interview them? Are you going to ask some specific questions to know their interest? So yes, if you can put a plan of the recruitment, that's always helpful, and it shows that you put forward a thought and not just putting some boilerplate language.
Okay, there is a follow-up on the question from Elena. She's preparing a career application, which is the Canadian version of the career. So this is why the question came in.
Yeah, so that's great. And if you need to use our facility for Create, we'll be happy to help you. So I'm not very informed about this program, but if you need any help, just reach back to me and I can help. And for any other participants in this conference, if you need any help with your career or any other proposal, please feel free to contact me independently via email, and I'll provide all the help that I can give.
Great. Okay, so I think now, Steve, it's all yours.
Okay, thank you, Amal.
Thank you. Thanks.
Today I'm going to be providing a roadmap of the kind of support you can expect as a user of the WOW facility. And I'll be going over how we can support you in the proposal process, then what happens in the actual project planning phase once the proposal is accepted, and then I will talk briefly about some billing and rate structures as well. Now, the Wall of Wind is not the exclusive playground of the Wall of Wind PIs. It is available as part of the NHERI program to external users very broadly, to be used for all sorts of fundamental research fields, such as basic fluid mechanics and aerodynamics, wind-induced vibrations or aeroelastic instabilities. One of our common uses, in the facility is structural reliability and the fragility of building systems, be it walls or roofing systems, houses and other infrastructures, windows in sections of high-rise buildings, things like this, and I have them. We also have the ability to simulate wind-driven rain effects, and this can be used to have measurable quantities of wind-driven rain and intrusion and surface runoff.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you're changing slides, but I only see one slide, the first slide.
Oh.
Can you put the presentation mode?
Yes, it is in presentation mode.
I don't know if this is a problem with everyone else. Arindam? Oh yeah, now I see the second presentation.
Okay, slide. I guess I have to take it off of presentation mode.
Okay.
So this is the first slide?
Yes.
Yeah, we can see, yeah.
And this is the second slide?
Now when you change slides, but
before
we couldn't, yeah.
Okay,
I guess the presentation mode goes to another monitor maybe.
I see, okay. Well, forgive me. We also have the ability to simulate hurricane-driven rain, and this can be used for to measure rain intrusion into buildings, or possibly scouring and surface runoffs and erosion effects. And given the highly controlled environment of the Wall of Wind, the results that are obtained at the Wall of Wind can be compared to or used in part to validate any number of numerical models that you may have for a particular application. So next I'll talk about how we can help you in the proposal development. from initial contact through the development of the idea, how we can help you develop the wording and the test plan and the proposal itself. First, you would reach out to Arindam or myself, and we can discuss an idea. From there, we would set up a conference call between us and some of the staff members. We can share some of our experience on experiments we've done in the past, tell you some of our capabilities and some of our limitations here at the facility, and kind of hammer out the test details, what we can do and what we can't do. From there, it would be incumbent on the PI to develop a preliminary test plan, a section of verbiage that would go in your proposal. And from there, you can share it with us and we can review it for its feasibility, say, yes, we can do this. It would be worthwhile if we change this part, and come up with a really tight package that can be submitted with a high chance of success for acceptance. One of the things Dr. Chowdhury just mentioned is putting too much into proposals, and this is where we can add our expertise on what can be feasibly undertaken. At that time, it'll also lay out kind of a timeline and a budget estimate that can be included in your proposal as well. And then you would submit the proposal to NSF. Again, given the PI structure, it is not necessary for the Wall of Wind PIs to be co-PIs on your proposals. The facility is available to you as a PI under the NHERI program. However, if there is an area of expertise that falls within the realm of the Wall of Wind PIs, you are more than welcome to reach out to them and include them as a PI, but it is not necessary. But in any case, the level of service and support you get from the facility will be the same. We will take every effort possible to help you have a successful test and meet your scientific goals. One thing that should be noted here is that if you have a particular project that would involve the use of more than one experimental facility, for example, you had an experiment that would investigate wind-driven rain and perhaps flooding a storm surge, and you needed two different facilities to accommodate that, it's not necessary to break those up into two different proposals. Both of them could be done in the same proposal, and we can accommodate that aspect of your plan. Once your proposal is accepted, we celebrate and then get on to the major work of this facility. First, we have some paperwork to draw up, and then there are three specific areas, categories of events that go on here at the Wall of Wind. With regards to the paperwork, you and I would work to fill out what is called a service agreement, which is a sort of contractual obligation between yourself and your organization and the Wall of Wind and FIU. It lays out the budget, the expected test schedule, and the general broad expectations of the testing facility. At this point, we would also create a folder on the Design Safe website, which will be mutually accessible to both parties, and we can share information that way. From there, I would add your project to our Wall of Wind calendar, and you and me and our teams would meet to develop the experimental test protocols. And the test protocols lay out what happens when the fans are on and we're collecting data. And this information needs to be very specific so that we don't have any hiccups in the actual test process, and I will elaborate more on that in a few minutes. In the past, this is also a time where we would go over user safety and training, any specific protocols that are required for your access to the facility itself. However, given the current situations, it is highly probable that most interaction in the near future will be through telepresence. And so we have a strong telepresence capability to remain in communication and avoid the necessity of you being on site. The next three steps, the bottom of this test, are the three categories of events that occur at the Wall of Wind: pre-test, runtime or test time, and then post-test. In the pre-test, which is a lot of the setup of actually designing the model, a collaborative effort between you and us, construction and instrumentation. Again, under certain circumstances, you may have travel to the site itself to assist in the construction of the model. Given the current circumstances, it is far more likely that we will engage in all the physical construction of the model ourselves, Perhaps you can have things constructed and delivered to us, but most of that would fall on the effort of the Wall of Wind staff. Once the model is prepared, it would go to the turntable for runtime, and the Wall of Wind staff would operate the turntable, acquire the data, and store that data to the Design Safe website where you can access it. And post-testing activities include dismantling the components, packing up and sending back any portions of it that you would like, and doing general bookkeeping and report writing. Talking a little bit about the budget structure, as I alluded to in the previous slide, there are 3 general categories of events that occur at the Wall of Wind. They are the pre-testing phase, the testing phase, and the post-testing phase. It's generally easiest to understand this starting at the middle with the testing phase. If your specimen is on the table and the fans are on and we are collecting data, that is regarded as a test day. Anything that happens before that would be pre-test activities, and anything after that would be post-test activities. The bulk of the work in the pre-test activities are, as I mentioned, the design and construction and instrumentation of the model itself. Again, most of this labor would fall on the Wall of Wind staff at the current time. Also, any preparation of the Wall of Wind itself would occur during this time if we have to install nozzles for rain simulation events or install roughness elements to match a particular velocity profile. And then finally, the post-test events are cleanup, dismantling, archiving data, and report writing. At the bottom of the slide, you can see a table which lays out the specific rates for each of these components of our services at the Wall of Wind. The Wall of Wind is supported by an NSF grant that includes basic maintenance and operation of the facility. We have a number of reusable instrumentation here, such as load cells, pressure transducers, accelerometers, and none of these need to be accounted for in general budgeting for your proposal. However, if your individual proposal requires anything beyond that, that needs to be included. For example, for model construction, if you need to purchase lumber and acrylic panels to assemble a model, that needs to be accounted for in your budget. Any special instrumentation, for example, strain gauges, are usually one-time use. They're consumable. Those would need to be taken into consideration in your budget. And the level of effort of the Wall of Wind staff in model construction needs to be taken into consideration under the guise of pre-test days. We can help with specific guidance on budgeting and review your budget before submission to ensure a high probability of success that we can deliver what we promise to deliver on time. Again, in the table on the bottom of the page, I would like to emphasize the fact that the runtime consists of when the fans are on and we are collecting data. The Wall of Wind uses a lot of power, and as such, we have an agreement with our power provider that we have a 4-hour window during the day in which we can operate the fans. Thus, any runtime activities need to occur within this 4-hour window. Realistically, that translates to about 3 hours of actual data collection. We do not operate the fans when it's raining, and there are times when we have to physically go out to the turntable and adjust the model. And so this is something that needs to be taken into consideration in your budget when we collect data. For example, if you have 2 different model configurations and you want to take 2 hours worth of data on both of them, and it requires an hour of man time to change from one to the other, that is not all going to happen on one test day. And with that, I will leave you with my contact information here. Feel free to contact me by email or phone, and I will open up the floor to any questions that you may have.